Hey again guys, so I'm back with another review, and today that is on The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell by Colfer, and as always I'll read you the back of the book. Alex and Connor tossed and turned with thoughts of the wishing spell all night, but there was no decision to make. If the journal offered a possible way home, they would have to do anything and everything it instructed them to. They had no choice. They were about to embark on the greatest scavenger hunt of their lives. And then the inside flap. Alex and Connor Bailey's world is about to change. When the twins' grandmother gives them a treasured fairy tale book, they have no idea they're about to enter a land beyond all imagining, the land of stories, where fairy tales are real. But as Alex and Connor soon discover, the stories they know so well haven't ended in this magical land. Goldilocks is now a wanted fugitive, Red Riding Hood has her own kingdom, and Queen Cinderella is about to become a mother. The twins know they must get back home somehow. But with the legendary evil queen hot on their trail, will they ever find the way? Oh, wow. To start with this cover, I love the back with the mirror here, and then the cover itself. You guys know when I hauled this, when it was in my mailbox, I fell in love with this cover. So many fairy tales on the cover alone. Sleeping Beauty and Snow White there with the spinning wheel and the apples. Frog Prince, Snow White's glass, not Snow White, Cinderella's glass slipper, fairies, the big bad wolf, Rapunzel's tower, gingerbread house, the beanstalk, the castle. So much just on that cover, it drew me in, and I was not disappointed with this book. I have to admit, I devoured it. This is a middle grade book. I don't normally read middle grade. It's not that I have anything against it. I just don't normally feel pulled to a middle grade book. But I have a weak spot for fairy tales, as many of you probably did. I grew up on fairy tales. I grew up with Disney movies, so they're always kind of close to my heart. So when I see a fairy tale retelling or something fairy tale related, it automatically gets my attention. And the fact that this cover had so many fairy tale elements on it, I was so glad that they offered to send it to me for review. I was so happy, and it didn't disappoint in any way, shape or form. I was hooked on this book from the moment that I started it, and I have to say that I think this book has a little something for everyone. Now, I'm not this book's primary audience, considering I'm 20 years old, but I still loved it. The characters in this book were amazing. Alex and Connor are like 12-year-old twins, and I love that you can see their similarities, but they're also very different characters. Connor is sarcastic and always has a quip to come back with, and Alex is like a smart, nerdy girl that feels quite isolated. So when they end up in the land of stories, Connor is very much, "Oh, get me out of here! It's horrible," and he comes up with all these witty comments, whereas Alex is staring wide-eyed around her, wants to take everything in because she doesn't have any friends. She feels that when she read fairy tales, they were her friends. She felt close to people in fairy tales. So then when she has the chance to be in that world, she jumps at it and wants to absorb everything, whereas Connor just wants to get the hell home. This book was just full of fairy tales. I mean, when I started reading it, I thought maybe, oh, it would take a few fairy tales, but no, it was absolutely brimming with them. All the ones on the cover are there, plus plenty more. The Little Mermaid is in here, Red Riding Hood is in here, like it said, Goldilocks is in here, trolls. It's just absolutely full of fairy tale peoples, creatures. It's just brimming with it, and it's fantastic. There is like mystery in here, and sort of suspense, but I guessed the mystery elements. But again, I think that's because the mystery isn't meant for a 20-year-old plus reader. It's meant for 12, 13, 14-year-old readers. So, and even though I guessed it, it didn't take anything away from it. I knew what the mystery was going to be, but it was still so well done that I really appreciated it, and I still really enjoyed it. I can't wait for the next book in this series. It was so good, and it's not small for a middle grade book. It's quite big. It's over 400 pages. It's 438 pages, and it's just non-stop awesome throughout the whole book. It's just so good. I can't recommend it enough. I think that this is a book to be enjoyed by anyone of any age. I think, yes, middle grade readers will love it. People who love fairy tales should definitely check it out. But it's also just a really good adventure read, light-hearted. It is like non-stop action. The twins get themselves into a lot of difficult situations because they're trying to collect items for a spell to get them home. So they go from each of the kingdoms in this land of stories. The one thing I was slightly disappointed with, and it's not the story, the plot, the writing, or anything like that, it's that the US copy of this book on the inside has like a fold out map of the land of stories, but the UK one doesn't. So nowhere in this book is there a map of, everywhere they're going. And even though it's really well described, so I know where they're going, I know where everything is, but I thought it would be a nice touch to visually see it so I could picture them moving from place to place that you could do with the US edition, but sadly this one doesn't have that, and that was a little disappointing. I would have liked that to be in there. So really, I can't recommend this book enough to absolutely everyone. When I finished it, I did not shut up about it. I've recommended this to so many people already. And I would say if you're sometimes put off by books written by celebrities, because obviously this is by Chris Colfer from Glee, I would say in this instance really don't be put off, because he's a very talented writer. If I didn't know that he was a celebrity from Glee, you can't tell. And I read in the foreword and acknowledgement stuff that he has always wanted to be a writer, and his grandma, encouraged him, and he's always wanted to write a book, and I think that really shows. And you can tell he has an appreciation for fairy tales. He knows his stuff. I mean, he didn't just put one or two fairy tales in there. It was full of it, and the great thing is he didn't just rehash fairy tales. He imagined where those fairy tales would go, where those people would be in a few years after their happily ever after you turn their final page, and it was just great. So if you've read this, please let me know what you thought of it, if you loved it as much as I did, because I gave it 5 out of 5 because I loved everything. I loved the plot. I thought it was a really well conceived idea. Writing, couldn't fault it. I loved the characters. I loved the whole world. I just loved it. So 5 out of 5. So if you loved it as much as I did, please let me know. Or even if you didn't like it as much as I did, let me know. Just let me know what you thought of it, because I'm just totally in love with this book right now. I can't wait for the other one to come out, the next one. I'm sorry, I'm not very coherent today, but this is just a book. I just can't form coherent sentences about this book because I just loved it so much. So thank you so much for watching this and putting up with this babbling review, and I shall see you guys soon. Happy reading.